So, in case you're wondering what is going on in the Middle East, let's make it simple. This is fundamentally a confrontation between the United States of America and Iran. Everything else you're saying, Israel, the Gulf states, protests, military bases, are all layers around the central tension. Now, let me bring you up to speed with all you need to know. Don't forget, these are developing stories in just a few minutes. First, as of now, there is no formally declared full-scale war between the United States and Iran. What we are witnessing is an escalation of long-standing tensions, proxy conflict, and retaliation strikes, but not an officially declared conventional war. So the hostility between the US and Iran goes back to 1979 after Iran's Islamic Revolution. Since then, relations have been defined by sanctions, military threats, proxy battles, and occasional direct strikes. The most dramatic recent moment before 2025 was in 2020 when the US killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, and Iran retaliated with airstrikes on US bases in Iraq. So that set the tone for this kind of brinkmanship we see today. Now, where does Israel come in? Israel sees Iran as its biggest existential threat, mainly because of Iran's nuclear program and Iran's support for armed groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza. Israel has repeatedly carried out covert and overt strikes on Iranian-linked targets in Syria and other places. Whenever questions or tension arise between Israel and Iran, the US is automatically pulled into that question because America is Israel's strongest military ally. So now you see where Israel comes in. So if there are clashes involving Israel and Iran, the US often provides intelligence, logistics, air defenses, or diplomatic backing. That is how Israel became central to any US-Iran escalation. Now, let's talk about the Gulf states, especially Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. How are they involved in this? So Saudi and the UAE both see Iran as a regional rival. The rivalry is geopolitical, sectarian, and strategic. This is because Iran backs armed groups across the region in Yemen, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. So Saudi Arabia in particular has fought a proxy war with Iran in Yemen for years. So if Iran escalates against the US or Israel's interest, Gulf state tends to align politically and sometimes militarily with the US, not necessarily because they love Washington, but because Iran's missiles and drone capacity directly threaten their oil infrastructures and cities. And so we've already seen Iranian-linked attacks on Saudi oil facilities in the past. And then the question is, why will Iran target UAE or other Gulf locations? And this is because if Iran retaliates, it usually targets what is considered strategic pressure points because the US has military bases, intelligence ops, or aligned infrastructures in those regions. So the UAE hosts Western military assets and it's a major logistic hub. So in a broader escalation, the UAE can become a geographic spillover zone, even if it isn't the primary battlefield. And then this becomes clearer why the Iranian retaliatory drones and missiles have struck across the UAE, hitting Dubai International Airport, near Burj Arab, the Palm Jumeirah Zone, Jebel Ali Port, Abu Dhabi International Airport, the Etihad Towers Diplomatic Complex, Zahid Port, and even infrastructures linked to Amazon Web Services. Many were intercepted, but debris still caused damage and injuries. So imagine if they weren't, and now the UAE is bearing the brunt of the fight that didn't start on its soil. So let's bring in Pakistan. Why is Pakistan involved in this? So Pakistan is not formally at war with the US or Israel over Iran. However, Pakistan has a complex relationship with Iran. They share a border, they have security tensions, and they also cooperate diplomatically. So Pakistan often condemns attack on Iranian sovereignty in public statements, especially to manage domestic opinion. So Pakistan, through solidarity, attacks American embassy in Karachi. And so attacks on the American embassy are historical in nature because we can see similar events happened and linked when the US embassy in Baghdad in 2019 and 2020 was attacked as well. But those incidents were linked to proxy militias, not direct Iranian missile strikes on embassies in sovereign Gulf capitals. So let's talk about the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom typically aligns with the US on strategic security issues, but emphasizes de-escalation and international law. Keir Starmer said that the UK cannot take part in the US-Israel strikes on Iran, but it will allow the US to use British bases or defensive actions against Iranian missile threats. And so regarding Kuwait, why is Kuwait in this mix? Kuwait has been directly affected by Iranian retaliation. Its air defenses has intercepted hostile drones and missiles, and also explosions have been heard around cities, big cities and populated places in Kuwait. So this is not just America and Iran, it is a regional web. Iraq feels it, Syria feels it, Lebanon feels it, the Gulf feels it. Even Russia and China feel it economically. What looks like a bilateral tension is actually a geographical network where alliance and every military base becomes a pressure point. So all these escalations, the strike across the Gulf, the attacks on bases and cities, and the widening regional tensions stems from US-Israeli offensive that killed Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as confirmed by the Iranian state media. This is still a developing story, so we keep it simple, we keep it factual, and we keep it a truth at a time. It is a truth at a time. Take care and have a nice day.